Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to sketch and draw sunflowers. And this is all with a pencil and a fine liner. So that is all of the materials that you need. I was getting some requests for sunflowers based off of my April plan with me. So here we go. First, you're going to start with a guide. It's just one big circle and then one circle in the middle for the middle of the sunflower. And then you're just going to do some rounded, pointed petals for the sunflower. I like to have each petal touching at the base so that when it comes to shading and doing my lines for line shading, that it's a little bit easier. So each petal is touching in some way. And as I continue to go all around the circle, the tip of the petals are touching the outer circle, and the middle or the base of the petals are touching the stamen or the center of the sunflower. So right now what I'm doing is just doing some more petals, going over some of the other petals to give the flower some depth. And here I'm also adding in folds of the petals as well. You can do that by simply just adding in some extra lines. And so for the second sunflower, the placement or how the sunflower is going to shift, the circle is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more of an oval for the bigger circle and the smaller circle. And then you're going to do the petals the same way. But for the back petals, you're going to adjust them differently. So the base is going to be on the outside of the circle and the tips are going to be pointed towards the middle of the sunflower. And you can do this any way you want. You don't have to do a different direction sunflower. You can do them all the same way, just whatever is easier for you. So sketching it out really is able to help you kind of hone in on what you want and how you want the sunflower to look. And then I'm also adding some leaves to go around the sunflowers just to frame them and just to give the picture a little bit more depth. So for the line shading, it's basically as easy as just doing the tracing or, the first step using your pencil. I do the petals that are in the front of the flower first, and then I do the petals that are in the back. So for the petals, when I'm using a 0.3 micron fine liner, I am doing kind of rough, jaggedy lines. They're not perfectly straight, and so that will give the petals a little bit of character and just a little more contrast versus it being perfectly straight lines. And for the center of the flower, for the stamen, I'm just doing a rough circle, and the middle is just a bunch of squiggly lines and dots. And how you can give the center of your sunflower a lot of depth is to make some parts darker and more saturated, have a more shadow than others, to really kind of give your flower a 3D look and to show where some shadows would be and where the light would be hitting the middle of the stamen. And so now I'm going in and showing where some of the petals would be folded in or the sides would be folded up. This just gives the flower a little bit more personality, especially when you go in with the line shading. The line shading is the most time consuming, but it is the most satisfying. I'm using a 0.01 size micron fine liner, so it's a very thin tip, and you can also use a thinner tip if you have a thinner tip to get even more details. But I am just going upwards from the center of the stamen and downwards on the petal from the tip of the petal to give some shadows and to show the direction that the petal is going. And so a trick that you can do to give your flower more depth, to show more shadow, is where you have a petal underneath another petal, you're going to do darker line shading on the petals that are underneath. And if any petals are touching, you will do darker lines or more line shading kind of on the sides of the petal to show where there would be more shadow from petals being closer together, versus if you have a petal by itself and there's no shadow being casted on it at all, you would do very minimal line shading to show where the highlights of that petal would be. So on the second flower, I'm doing the exact same thing, darker or more lines towards the bottom of the petal by the stamen, and then towards the center and top of the petals, not as much, again, to show the contrast of the dark and light and the shadows to give the flower more depth. And after you're erasing everything, all of the pencil lines that I have made, I'm going in and you can see the petals that are underneath the petals on top. I am just doing more shading. And the petals that I drew the folds of in the center, I'm making it darker. So it really makes the folds of the petals pop more, and it really gives it a lot more contrast than just leaving it as normal or just not doing any line shading at all. And that's how people make super realistic flowers, because they really take in the shadows and the highlights, and they can manipulate it to how they want, how they think the flower is going to look. So that is the best part for me when I do any type of flowers just with, a black pen. I'm able to really pull in and hone in on those shadow bits, and it really does bring the flower to life. So that is it for this sunflower video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what other videos you would like to see, and let me know down in the comments if you like videos like this or if you have tried it, if you followed along. I would love to see pictures. Find me on Instagram at Journaling with Jen. I will see you guys in the next one.